Thing in progress.
Hello, welcome to episode 31 of Let the Story Write Itself podcast. Today, I'm going to shift a little bit to more about the philosophy and the mindset and the practices behind all of the stories that I'm sharing and the journey that has unfolded so far. And for most of the episodes, I've gone into, say, the journey that led me from being a student at university to some of the in-between moments to going to Vipassana and then kind of extracting myself from certain employment and even moving more into entrepreneurship essentially and venturing off on my own things and going from I was even studying to be like a life coach at one point and then I veered off into like a different path and I got this idea to go to Toronto and it kind of led me on this whole travel journey around the world. So from Vancouver, I went to Toronto, and then Toronto to Barcelona, and then from Barcelona to the south of Spain and Andalusia, and then from Tarifa to Tangier, and then it just went on and on. And essentially, it's like this idea of just kind of allowing the path to unfold without necessarily knowing. And maybe at some point in your life, you've kind of followed just like some nudge and you didn't really know why, but you just went with it. And then something beyond what you really imagined or thought possible, or even really consciously planned or even like thought you wanted, it kind of just came into being. So it's like what's that saying that life is what happens when you're busy making other plans? I think that's perfectly like encapsulates exactly what occurs a lot of times and that you've probably also experienced in your own life. So this was like a major thing where I was like, I'm just, bopping around in different employment. And then the next thing I know, I'm like, you know what? Actually, I think I actually want to study to become a life coach. Like that feels more like my calling. And then the next thing I know, instead, I go off on a round the world trip adventure and come full circle. It feels like I am back into this life coaching where it's like now I have all of the lived experiences and I've had this journey that I'm actually still on in many ways. Like I'm recording this as I'm in Vietnam. So it's like I, in many ways, do kind of just live around the world. And it's almost like where my soul has been calling me to. I'm a Sagittarius. My midheaven is in Sagittarius or Sagittarius in midheaven, whichever way you're supposed to say it. And a lot of that actually is where like has a lot of pull. Like there's a pull to who you are and especially like art. A lot of times that can dictate a lot of your movements, whether unconsciously or much than what essentially. So I've gone into a lot of the actual travel pieces and like, okay, I got pulled from here to there and what was I thinking and feeling at the time? And then I talked about like a month in Toronto and a month in Morocco and um some, what led me from Barcelona to Andalusia and like what were the thoughts and the feelings and the impressions at the time and over 10 years ago now, right? That this was all happening around like the beginning of 2016. So a lot of the journey then from like say Morocco, I spent a month there and then I went over to like Israel and Egypt and Turkey and on and on. So I've been to more than 55 countries. But the thing is that really that all that the episodes that I've kind of gone through in Let the Story Write Itself so far really kind of capture the magic and the moments that is at the heart of what it's not necessarily about the travel per se, although that's a big element of it. It's really about that intuitive journey and that intuitive pull and living from your heart and your soul and something beyond what, say, the logical human mind knows. And so I wanted to talk more about these aspects, and the podcast is really going to shift more to these rather than just rehashing, okay, the next thing I know, I went to this, and I may kind of touch on like, okay, I went to Israel and then this unfolded and so on and whatnot. And all the things that have unfolded in like pretty much just like all the experiences of life essentially. But rather than focus too much on things that, like the heart, like where the real core of the story that is kind of that repeat like repeats like essentially continues over time. So whether whatever country I subsequently went to since then, the biggest leap in a sense and like the sharpest learning curve or even just the moment where it felt like wow, this is where I've expanded the most, and the feeling of this is what it's all about. Like this is the essence of it. That really is already captured in Let the Story Write Itself, like the first few episodes here, especially that particular piece from journey from Vancouver to that led me to Morocco. That was like a 5 month period from like January all the way up until May. I was just like in this particular period of time, I felt like there was a real lead up and it was like a feeling of like moving a lot of new energy into my space, like untethering more fully, like going deeper into more exotic places and more foreign places, destination. And actually, that deepening that self trust, allowing myself to flow more in that space of surrender, not even having to plan things out and allowing my comfort zone to expand even more, being like, wow, each time I would be like, I'm going international now. I'm going to take a one-way train ride. I have no particular idea or plan or even knowing of what I'm actually going there for, but it's okay. I'm just going to trust. I'm moving more with intuition and flow rather than like actual just having to know on a logical level and moving out of that paradigm, right? So really shifting that paradigm and becoming more into that space of energetic alignment rather than like logical force or whatever. And so the whole journey, and then I'm going into Barcelona and then I'm like still following my heart. And it leads me to like some volunteer activities and leading me to the south of Spain. And then next thing I know, I'm going changing continents, going even deeper into more foreign country, somewhere that's like Arabic speaking that I'm like feels totally, totally like more diametrically different than like what I've, whether it's like the duality of being Asian and growing up in a Western world, but having that duality. And now it's like adding in another element in the mix, which was, like the Middle East part. And something just that felt so like it awakened and enlivened, it like parts of me from within felt more alive in these places than I'd ever felt anywhere. Like in Asia, for some reason, it's like, yeah, okay, that's like my cultural ethnic background where my own parents like grew up and everything. And I visited there several times since I was a child. So that didn't necessarily feel like that big of a leap when I went to like, when visiting Asian countries, whatever, that I did subsequently on my trip. And then likewise, like say places in Europe is that I also did subsequently and that I have been to before. Those never really felt like that big of a leap to be sure, like at all. Where the leap really felt was like when I was moving with that unknown, when I was living and then life was calling me in a different direction and I allowed that redirection to shape me, that to almost like flow like water, essentially, to just be fluid, to move accordingly. And that's essentially what occurred where I wasn't moving with like a certain constricted energy or certain like I need to um what's that word for it? It's like almost like this very more like forcefully in your head a kind of approach, or even just this approach where you feel more like you're not necessarily just being, it's almost like you're doing, it's almost like you're having to make things happen, or you're simply like say like if you're going to university and you don't really necessarily, it's not really a soul calling. You're kind of just there because, okay, well, it's just something you do. It's convenient. You have a fund saved for you. Who knows, whatever numerable reasons, there's a very means to an end aspect to it. Versus when you're simply just moving with like alignment and soul purpose and synergy and intrinsic reasons and not even knowing why. It's just like being led by soul. It's like moving almost like a dance, essentially. It's like you're just allowing spirit to move you. And that's like a different tapping into a different headspace, a different mind space, essentially. Because I call it almost like a hypnotic state, like a trance state. It's almost like a dream-like state. You're accessing different brain waves in a way. It's like you're not thinking from such like a frontal lobe, like, I don't know the actual terminology or parts of the brain that would be activated by this, but you're not necessarily using your reasoning like A, then B, and like like you're not necessarily using things just because you've learned it in the real world. You're almost accessing that part of you that is like a deeper knowing. It's like you just know it. That's intuition, right? That's like accessing a different part of your brain. It's like that connection to the divine, to the rest of the world type of thing. So this episode I really wanted to just talk about that intuitive leap, essentially. It's letting go of the need to know, because that's essentially what allowed me to take the leap. It's that untethering from that need for untethering from like untethering in many ways, untethering geographically, but also untethering from certain beliefs, from certain mindsets, from certain paradigms, and moving with that more in this way is the intuitive leap. Essentially, it's like a leap of intuition where I don't know why my brain presented to me, go to Toronto, right? Just out of nowhere. And then when I was already a month in Toronto, it's almost like my brain was able to access even deeper parts and be like, well, now go to Spain. And I was like, and like each step of the way was almost presenting me with new situations and ideas that I would be more open to at this point because I had taken the previous step. So it's like if I had not taken that train from Vancouver to Toronto, which at the time felt like a big leap, really like in comparison to other things now, it feels like relatively like it feels like okay, I'm still in the same country. It's just a train ride. Like it's not really, it didn't feel like it's like not necessarily that foreign anymore. But as I kept going along and then I kind of built that muscle essentially. It was like, now I'm just going from Toronto and I'm going to Spain and I don't even know why. It's like it was a one-way ticket, right? And then as I'm in Spain, I'm still just in that intuitive place where I'm like, well, what now? What next? And then it leads me to the south of Spain. And I'm like, this time I just go, like taking a train ride, been there, done that. Like it's just so easy, like second nature now, right? And then next thing I know, I'm like hopping over to Africa, Morocco essentially. And it's like a different continent, a different, just on a ferry. It feels like just like a very short ride. It's like worlds apart, right? So it's like not distance that matters. And it's interesting because imagine back to like when I was in Vancouver and I was thinking, really? Go to Spain? I mean, not go to Spain, go to Toronto. And I'm just like, in a place that I'm already very familiar with. And just going about like life as you kind of know it, like having in some employment, going to like maybe taking some higher learning, higher education courses, just activities essentially day-to-day life and living in a place that you already like you grew up in essentially. So it's not really that different until you get an idea that doesn't really feel like an A to B logical idea. It doesn't feel like, okay, well now you're gonna do this because um in the 3D world, in the world where you're kind of like doing things just from like not an intuitive leap, but more so A than B. It's like your mind has come up with the idea that your logical mind, the worldly kind of like setups essentially. And it's like so it's not something where it's like, well, I'm going to Toronto because there's this program there, and so therefore I'm going to go there or something. And it's nothing logical like that. It's nothing like A to B like that. It's nothing like as a means to win it. Like if this, then that, and this is why, and like you don't even have the why, right? In a sense. So for me, it's like when I got that call, there was definitely like probably a bigger why. There's a why where, that I have like a soul calling that's been like calling me for a long time. That since I was 17, I had that initial thought come to me, go travel instead of going to university, but I didn't listen to it. It's like that soul calling has always been that intuitive pull, that big why, that why that comes from before you're on this earth, like before you're born, essentially. It's like that purpose, that unique blueprint that is constantly calling you to get on path essentially. So the intuitive leap a lot of times stems from that intuitive mind, that mind that already knows and it's like the bigger part of you. And then when you're actually just simply going through life, a lot of times you might be activating different, more like the frontal lobe, like the planning, the strategic, like the trying to make things happen, versus allowing that to part to almost take a back seat to your soul driver. And then your mind can come in and support that. As that saying by Einstein goes, the our intuition is a sacred gift and the mind is a faithful servant. So it's like keeping those in order, keeping those in the right place and allowing your soul to be in the driver's seat. And that's essentially what unfolded as probably like one of the most magical moments of my life, which was when I got that call to go to Toronto and I allowed that calling to unfold. And what happened was like a magical unfolding. And I like my spirit felt like it was soaring the entire time. I was like, wow, like I can't even like it felt like I was just living my purpose in a sense because as a Sagittarius in midheaven, which I didn't even know at the time, and even like now, it's like I'm not an astrologer or anything, nor do I necessarily even study it. I just know these certain key aspects of my chart, and I'm like, interesting. That makes a lot of, if you're going to tie in your logical mind at some point, you're going to realize that there's actually a lot of order to the fact that when you're pulled to certain things, it's your soul expression calling to come forth. And so, even though I might not consciously think like, oh, I like to do these things, I love going on train rides. I love exploring new places. I love being in that movement and that space of flow and simply like that journey of the unknown and adventures and like the new experiences and cultures and places and just that even like some foreign exotic like novel aspects of life, like that's all almost like in my DNA. That's like written in the stars and like in my soul. It's like weaved into my soul essentially. It's like there's just something about me that just like lives on that stuff, thrives on that stuff. It's just like food for my soul essentially. When I was like little, I always loved to read. I was little, I was like in university. Instead of like reading a lot of the books, like textbooks, I always like gravitated towards like Agatha Christie novels, like during the summer holidays and such. And a really key part of that is like it was always set in like exotic locations, and there was always like an in-depth like it's like about the philosophies. Like she has a very like her writing style is very much like about the character as well and like their motivations, and it's not totally too big on like all the details. It's just very light and flowy. But digression aside, it's just this idea that like the way like what you're already pulled to in the moments that you're not necessarily planning or trying, it's already showing pieces of who you are, right? So like the things that you naturally like to do, that you're naturally gravitate to, the things that naturally light you up, that activate you, those are all the clues and the signs of who you are. And simply when these signs present themselves to you, are you shutting them down or are you just allowing them to play, to expand, to be, to dance, right? To express? Because that's what it is. A lot of times that saying is like the things you love doing is never wasted time. It's like, what's that saying? It's just like sometimes you think like, oh, work is classified as like things that are hard that you have to force yourself to do, that require some kind of struggle or this and that. But versus play, that is just like things that you're naturally drawn to, that's intrinsic to your soul, that you just feel like you could do hours upon hours, and it just kind of it's just a part of who you are, right? So it's like for me, it's like I would sometimes you go to like university, and it's not like anything against university, obviously, and there's certain things like that. But sometimes, like, if it's not your soul calling, then really, what are you doing? Like, what is there a larger purpose? There is something that um, I'm reading this book called The Big Leap. And it's like this zone of excellence where it's like there's things that you can do and you do well, but is it really part of your bigger soul purpose? Is it the thing that lights you up? Is it part of your soul, like activates you on a cellular like soul like beyond the 3D physical earth level? That's what in the book The Big Leap is called your zone of genius, and that's really where in many ways that's where your unique gifts are expressed. That's where when you're in that space, time just flows. You just feel like you're just like time almost like spans. You just feel like you're not even necessarily doing anything. You're just simply being. And a lot of times that's where like you light up for other people as well. Like other people when they witness you in that zone, they're like you probably impact people more in that state than in any other state because it's like your gift is activated. You light up. It's like you glow differently, you flow differently, you just present differently. It's like your expression is so like on point. It's like a flower blooming or something. So, this the time when I had just allowed myself to go on that flow and I'm just like on this train journey and I'm going on this unknown and this adventure and this whatnot. It's like all of these somehow related to my zone of genius where it just feels like the most, it's like I'm in my element. Like something about that just felt so natural to me. I felt like I felt like a sense of like I can breathe. Like I feel so at ease now. Like there's a deep peace and fulfillment. And that's a piece that you can't just unlock. Like that's a piece that is unlocked when you actually tap into that soul gift, that soul purpose, that zone of genius essentially. And for me, whatever that is, it's like it's an intangible thing, right? It's not like, oh, like a profession that you name or a particular occupation or something like that. It's about presence, it's about being, it's about your soul calling. And it's that intangible nature that I think sometimes people don't wrap their head around. So it's like when I'm just like, well, just going on that train ride, that was it. Going on that train ride, allow myself to be in that state of freedom, of fulfillment, of simply allowing myself to go with what my soul was pulling me to, and answering the call, that call to yes, to intuition, essentially. And that's essentially what I was doing during that time. And every time I just went from one place to another, or and it's not even necessarily just the place, but it's that call. It's like every time I was in cahoots with the universe, so to speak. It's like co-creating, allowing myself to be guided by the universe. Allowing is the key word. That surrender, that practice of just being in that flow state of not necessarily being in your logical thinking mind, but accessing that part of your brain that comes from like more hypnotic dreamlike state, that part of your head that's not necessarily doing things just for a particular outcome, but you're tuning into something different. You're tuning into like that space within you that, you could call it like your third eye almost. It's like that sixth sense. It's that intuitive space within you. And that's really what intuition is to me. It's that non logical space, that non logical part that you can access, and that really is the key that unlocks who you are, your gift, your zone of genius, your soul calling, that pull forward to a certain thing that you don't know necessarily know why. You don't need to know why. It's letting go of the need to know. In that sense, you don't need to know. Did I know why I was taking the train to Vancouver? I mean, to Toronto? No, because obviously I thought that I was just all the things that are more concrete are in Vancouver. I'm like, okay, I'm living in the heart of downtown. I'm like, I have like I was like involved in some different extracurricular activities. I think I was like in a Toastmasters or something. And then I was like in some like hiking groups or who knows, like different things. And just like obviously Vancouver's a fun city. There's a lot of things that I could point to and tangibly be like, well, this and this and that. And then I had like some employment and then I was enrolled in this life coaching program. So there's a lot of tangible things that I could be pointing to and be like logically mind. I'm like, well, this and this and that, like, hello, like why would I just leave all this? And then also that idea that like, well, what would I do in Toronto? There's no like I've never no reason to go there. I don't even consciously think I want to go there. In fact, it's almost the opposite. I'm like, I don't want to do that. But yet by tuning into that other part of me that I'm like, but yet there's something pulling me there. And it's like this little voice, it's like a whisper that came from like beyond, okay? It came from like not the mind, but like from deep within, almost like go to Toronto. And it was like a very specific, like obviously it's tied to the real world, it's a specific place, but it's like this idea that like logically, I'm like, I don't even like have any consideration, have never considered going there, have no reason to go there. Obviously, logically, all the things that I'm currently involved in are in Vancouver. Like so it's letting go of the need to know. It's by only by untethering from this paradigm that you shift into a new one where it's like you don't need to know. You align with forces beyond what you need to know, what you know on like the physical level, and you tune into that deeper knowing, that awareness of your soul essentially. And that's really how you access, you know, by taking the action that is in accordance with that deeper knowing, you almost unlock this new flow state. It's like that's the key to getting into that flow because immediately when I said yes, and then obviously I had to take some action. I had to like unravel from all the situations I was in and like be like, okay, quit the job, unenroll from that life coaching college program. Um, you know, end my lease, whatever. Like I had to end all those things and then actually book the ticket. Okay, I'm doing this, pack my stuff. Like there's a lot of physical actions that you have to do, right? And a lot of times they involve other people. So you really have to make your own decision from your own end. But the first step was listening to that core pull, go to Toronto. Oh my goodness. And then that's where then you start taking the actions. And then at the point when I was on the train, I was like in it. And obviously, like in the minutiae, you're like, there's a lot of like, there's like thousands of little things and moments in between, right? But then the story as a whole unfolding, it's that momentum, it's that powerful like journey forward that's like you feel the call and you feel like somewhere your soul has just clicked into place, like you're aligned now, like somehow your soul has given you like you've like breathed a sigh of relief and you're just like, oh, like I am just can just simply be who I am, like this is just who I get to be. And it's like as easy as ABC. It's as easy as just simply being, as easy as breathing. And suddenly, there was this like enormous wave of like relief because, even though I was enjoying like many things that I was up to in Vancouver and whatnot, it was like this feeling of like not like a cohesion type of thing, which is like a lot of compartmentalized. Okay, here I do this, and then another I do this and that, and they're just kind of like random activities that piece together is like, okay, yeah, this all kind of makes for like a good life, so to speak. But it was missing that like je ne sais quoi kind of piece. It's like that piece that really makes you come alive, that really makes you feel full and vibrant and like wow, like I'm in my element. I'm being who I really am. And that feeling of like joy, essentially, that abundance, that state of like allowing in more and receiving more, essentially. And that's exactly what occurred when I said yes to that pull. And that's exactly why it was calling you there, because your soul knows the way. It knows who you really are. And it's just, are you open to receiving that? Are you able to download that and to say yes to that? And the moment that you say yes, you realize that soul was guiding you all along because it knows what you need, like more than your logical mind does. And so that's really the power of the intuitive leap. It's about letting go of letting go of the need to know so that you can simply move in more flow, and that self-trust essentially, and allowing your soul to guide you because it already knows. It already knows. So that is episode 31 of Let the Story Write Itself.